All right, folks, welcome into Yankees Unloaded. I am Jake Ellenbogen, and joining me as always is Gary Sheffield Jr. And today we're going to be talking about Carlos Rodon and how he has really given us no hope at all when he starts games. It is a reminder, and I think today is a painful reminder, but it's important, that Rodon pitched great for the majority of the game. And I was just talking about this off air with Gary. But the reality of the situation is that it doesn't matter because the final, tally, giving up those 4 runs was enough to essentially lose this game.
Yeah.
And it's just really not acceptable. It doesn't matter. They had 8 strikeouts. They only gave up 3 hits. The walks, he still walks a lot of batters. He gave up 4 runs and 2 of them were home runs. And he threw one of the worst pitches I think a lot of us have seen. I mean, that hanging curveball was atrocious. And look,
can't wait.
I've gone on. I know. I know. Oh man. I want to make it very clear before we dive into Rodon and we rip Rodon, rightfully so, because I mean that was just horrible. I want to make it very clear. I do think he was a good signing, and I was actually talking about this with my father today. I think he was a good signing. I don't think he was a great signing or an awesome signing. And when the Yankees spent $28 million, they were expecting to get a great player, an awesome player, an ace. And they have not gotten that. And this game further exemplifies that because the position that they've been in without Cole, without Clark, without Luis Heel, they really needed this guy in particular to step up and be the ace of the rotation. It wasn't up to Max Fried. You paid Max Fried, yes, but this is the guy that has been in the rotation. This is Rodon's 3rd year now. So I was expecting Rodon, not expecting, but what should have been expected of Rodon is for him to step up and lead this rotation with Cole out for the year. And he just simply hasn't done that. And that has been incredibly frustrating, disappointing. And I think it's ultimately why the Yankees find themselves at 8-7 because, really they just don't have great starting pitching. And I'll be honest with you. I'll make an analogy because we just saw the Masters today, right? Well, if you watched, we all saw Bryson DeChambeau, how as soon as he didn't have his iron game, now it put all the emphasis on him to make those putts that he normally makes. But now because of all the emphasis, now all the pressure is on, he was missing those putts and it cost him big. In this one, now the Yankees this year, because their starting pitching has been so bad, it puts so much pressure on your bullpen. It puts so much pressure on your defense, and it puts so much pressure on your offense. And unfortunately, scoring 4 runs is not going to be enough to win this year with this. Like the way this starting rotation is right now, Gary, 4 runs is not a guaranteed win.
You're exactly right. And I was hoping you're going to want to talk today, or tonight rather, about Rory McIlroy and not this Yankees baseball game. This was terrible. Okay? It was bad. Okay?
I'm very happy for him, by the way.
I am thrilled for Rory. So congrats to Rory. And again, guys, like and subscribe to this channel. We really appreciate it. But my takeaway on Carlos Rodon, I'm going to stick to my guns about this player because obviously this is still an incredibly talented arm, right? Left-handed guy, still has upper 90s, clearly in better weather, right? Because it's a topic of conversation every time he pitches. At some point or another, you see him in the season throwing 97, 98, maybe close to 100 miles an hour. He's striking out a lot of guys. He's still doing that. But for the dollar of what we're spending, he's nowhere near as consistent as you need someone to be for this price. And for the money we paid, I think this is a complete waste. Just a total waste of money. I think it is a horrible signing. It's just my personal opinion. I would rather this just not have occurred. And I understand that this is a league with no salary cap. I get that totally. The Yankees technically can spend out this problem if Hal Steinbrenner so chose to. He could just say, all right, well, I'm paying $28 million for this player. That's a lot of money, but we're not getting the output. I'm going to spend again, but this time we're going to be more precise with who we spend on. Jake, when you go your last three starts and Garrett Cole's out, right? Clark Schmidt is not back yet. Luis Heel is still off the field. And you look at that start against Arizona, freezing cold weather, right? He's matched up with Zach Gallen. He goes 6 full innings. He gives up 4, right? Still got his strikeouts, his 5 Ks, but you give up 4 earned, right? And you wonder, what's the story there? The story was poor command, okay? We blame the cold, and hard contact. Okay. Now let's move on to the start against Detroit. We're now going on the road. He goes 6 full, 3 walks, 5 earned. Every bit of contact in that game was hard. Okay. And when I look at what a pitcher does, and again, we fast forward to today against the Giants, he goes 5 2/3. You look at his stat line and say he must have been atrocious. No, he was great for most of the start. But when you're a 2-pitch guy and I'm paying you $180 million, you're not going to go but 2 or 3 times through a lineup at best, because hitters at some point are going to get you. And what you learn is if you're a 2-pitch pitcher and you miss location, he really today was 4-seam, slider, 4-seam. And when Jung-Ho Lee gets up to the plate and he gets a hanging slider the way he did, he's not going to miss it. There's only 2 pitches you even really could have thrown today. It was the worst pitch I'd ever seen. And it's exactly what I posted. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. Baseball, technically, is, so they say, the hardest sport to hit a baseball, right? It's the hardest thing you can do. That pitch that I saw, and if you missed it, and Yankees Unloaded is your first bit of information, and then Jeff J, I'm going to get to this super chat right after this. It is just mind-boggling that was the execution of a pitch from a player that we're paying as much money as we're paying him. Now, mistake pitches happen all the time in this league. They just do. And the players who get paid more just make less mistakes. That's the only difference. And I see far too many mistakes from Carlos Rodon to possibly suggest this is a proper spending of our money. Because, again, if Hal Steinbrenner is going to give us a salary cap, he doesn't want to blow past where he's currently at. Okay, well, now I can judge your signings, okay, more harshly. We can't outspend the problem. You're telling me that this is now a permanent issue. So, yeah, I don't like this signing at all. I think in general, he's been wildly underwhelming. It's almost like I'm watching Robbie Ray. He's just chasing strikeouts. ERA, run prevention is just not a thing. Keeping the ball in the ballpark is not a thing. It just seems like I'm watching a driveline pitcher, and I don't like it. So take this away, Jake. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jeff J, thank you so much for the super chat there. What's that quote from Bull Durham? $1 million arm and a 10-cent head. Guy's a head case and Stroh's baked.
How would you describe it, really? I agree with this comment. When he says it's a 10-cent head, can we pinpoint that? Jake, I want you to answer this first, and then I want to take my turn on this. What is your mentality? Like when you look at Carlos Rodon, okay, big game or not, what do you see between the ears? Because I want to get to my answer, but please go ahead. Well,
I want to say this. I mean, it's kind of like, but anytime somebody criticizes like a drummer, for instance, in a band, drummers are smart. They have to be smart. Percussion is not an easy thing. You have to have it between the ears. And I feel the same way about pitching. You got to be somewhat smart to be able to pitch. You do. You wouldn't be in the MLB if you could not have any sort of brain in between the ears. And so I don't necessarily agree with that. And I do want to defend Rodon there, because getting to the major leagues as a pitcher, I do think you need to be intelligent. You have to work on a game plan. You have to know how to attack certain hitters. That said, the head case, I don't think is necessarily him saying that, and I don't want to speak for Jeff J, but what I interpret that as, or at least how I take that and why I agree with his take here in a different way, is that he's a head case in that I have always said, you've said, we've covered it on this show. I just talked about with Jazz Chisum. When you're focused on the umpire, you're not focused on your job.
Great point.
If they always said, when you go to, your 9 to 5, they always said, leave all the problems, your life problems at home, or leave it at the door. As soon as you walk into a job and you're representing that organization, that company, that brand, you don't bring your problems into the workplace. And the reason is because how can you concentrate on a stressful 9 to 5 when you're bringing in your drama from your stressful life? And so is it the exact same thing? No, but Rodon is focusing, and he's done this multiple times, probably every game. And it's even come out as a problem. It's been mentioned before. He's so focused on, oh, this is a bad pitch. And, he scoffs and throws a temper tantrum. Right. And then lo and behold, the next batter is taking this ball off the orbit. And so it's like there is a connection there because, like I said, he's got the smarts. He's got the stuff. Rodon, his ceiling for a best game is like this guy could throw a perfect game and strike out 12 if everything went perfect. That's like his absolute ceiling. But the problem is his floor is what we saw today. That's the reality. Rodon's floor is he's going to give up 4 runs. He's going to trade. You mentioned this with Robbie Ray, chase the strikeout. So that means his pitch count's going to be huge. And at that point, Gary, we keep talking about how important length is. And I don't want to crap on him too much for going 5 2/3. That's what we ask. We just would rather you not give up 4 runs. Yes. 3 runs would have been fine. Although the home runs bother me. The long ball bothers me. But my point being here is that when you're focusing on just striking out batters, the problem with that is you're going to run up a heavy bill on the pitch count. And when you run up a heavy bill in the pitch count, now I don't care that you've struck out 8 guys through 4 innings. I'm looking at 105 pitches. Now I got to go to my bullpen. How much did that help me? Right? He refuses to pitch to contact unless it's a home run.
Can he pitch to contact though? Because when I describe this pitcher, you're talking about 93 to 95 miles an hour. Okay. That's what we saw today. And we've described him as having great stuff. But when you throw 93 to 95, and it's not sinkers or some nasty cutter. No, it's 4-seam fastballs that he's either trying to throw down and away, up and away. Like this is how he likes to pitch. Yeah. And he likes to go slider, and it's usually a chase pitch. Okay. Well, then you have to imagine majority of the pitches that are going to be in the zone are going to be 4-seam fastballs. Can a pitcher consistently throw 4-seam fastballs in a game and go over 5 innings and not give up the long ball or give up hard contact? I personally don't think so. And Jeff J says no emotional IQ. The answer I was going to provide is somewhere right along the lines of this.
That's what I agree. I was actually defending Jeff J because I wanted to make sure people didn't think he was calling him stupid. So that's what looked like. I got that on the head.
I think that's what our entire podcast and our audience can all agree on here.
Yeah.
Where is the resolve from Carlos Rodon? I can tell you this right now. I'm going to quote my wife's side of the family on this. And sometimes, I don't know if you guys have ever been around somebody that they describe their life to you, and everything that they describe is just they have the worst life you've ever heard, right? And after you listen to their problems, you really realize it's not that bad. It's actually not that bad. But my wife's family says, you seem to be drowning in a glass of water, okay? And it's so true, because sometimes I can get into this funk where it's like, oh, my back hurts, and I have to do this today and I have to do that today. And then she'll say, well, is it really that bad? Like, I just think maybe you're kind of milking this. You're overdoing this. And then it really hits you after you kind of slow yourself down and you realize, you know what? It isn't that bad. And then you regroup, and then you come back down to the baseline, and then you operate your day. Carlos Rodon seems to have the most difficult time with any inconvenience in a start. You get a bad call.
It's true.
Oh, it's freezing. What am I going to do out here? Oh, he that pitch right there, it clipped the top of the zone. Are we joking? It feels very meathead. It feels, why me? No adjustment whatsoever. The same type of mistakes. I don't understand it. And Slim Lewis says,
thank you, Slim Lewis.
We appreciate it, Slim. My good Lord.
I got you.
Thank you. Slim Lewis with the super chat with the 10. We appreciate it. Slim, thank you. Says, I'm more concerned about Rodon because of the money. He's okay, but we're paying him like he's a top 25 pitcher in the game. That's absolutely accurate. Jazz is my concern. He's playing like like he's trying to be a 30-30 guy. Well, I could tell you this.
I think he is a 30-30 guy. I do.
Well, I mean, he has the potential to be a 30-30 guy, but if you're not living up to your potential and you're just not giving us that type of output, then you can have whatever potential you want. If you don't deliver the results, then that is what it is. Jazz Chisum obviously hit a homer today, and that's great. But Jazz also was 0 for his last 28.
I know.
I don't know.
Like, he's a streaky hitter. So the hope is that, he uses today to get out of that. And that's what I'm hoping. But
you can't be 30-30 being streaky. Like, well, if you're going to be a 30-30 player, you can't hit 209. Like, I'm going to say that if Jazz Chisum hits 219 and scrapes 30 homers, I'm not going to look at it as, oh, this is what I wanted from Jazz, because based on what I see,
no, I don't want that
with the skill set. I'm not chasing these certain numbers, and right, like there's no bar here for like how many homers I need. I think there's a certain version of Jazz that's very clearly needs to come to the surface, and it has not. But we're obviously very hopeful about Jazz. We still think, I mean, he's not dead to rights or anything of the nature. He's showing us flashes of the player that we want. I think that's clear as day. Carlos Rodon, on the other hand, his job literally your job when you're a high paid pitcher in this league, when I think Slim Lewis actually, I'm going to quote him here, we're paying him as if he's a top 25 pitcher in the sport. To be a top 25 pitcher in the sport, by definition, you need to have consistency. Is there anyone in this audience? Is there anyone here? Does my co-host happen to think that he's going to be consistent? My expectation, his next start, we're going to struggle to keep the ball in the ballpark. We're going to struggle to keep guys off the base pass. He's going to strike some guys out. He's going to go 5 innings and give up 3 or 4. That's not a top 25 pitcher in this league, and we pay him like it. So it's disappointing, and he's going to have to show us something different than what we expect.
Yeah, and by the way, it doesn't, and this is where this starts to feel insurmountable. What I mean by that is when you lose this game in that fashion, and you look up and you see Seth Lugo tomorrow against Carlos Carrasco, who's got a 7.71 ERA. That doesn't feel like a likely win. That feels like he's going to give up 5 runs in maybe 3 or 4 innings. And the Yankees are going to have to play some offensive baseball tomorrow against a Royals team that's also, to be fair, not the best this year so far. It's early. But at the same time, they have a lot of guys that can mash. So
yes, they do.
If tomorrow is an offensive, battle, I wouldn't be surprised, because I'm not relying on Carrasco from here on out. I'm not doing it. I'm really not fond of this rotation. I think Will Warren has upside. We all know that. I saw some comments. People were like, yeah, did you notice it felt like the ball was moving more? Like he had more movement on his pitches.
I saw that comment.
I agreed. I actually didn't bring that up on the show. And obviously, Gary, when we don't bring something up on the show, it's not normally deliberate. It's like you have so much shit you're trying to get out and you forget. And we do it all the time. Be like, as soon as we hit like this video, we hit end stream. And then either you and I will talk about it after the fact off air in a quick discussion, or like I'll be sitting in bed and be like,
it's like being in an argument, right? You argue with somebody and then all of a sudden you get in bed. You're like, if I had just said this, argument over, I would have killed them, right? That's what it's like running a podcast. So we definitely try and talk about everything, but the movement was there, right? And you can see, okay, we understand what the point is here. When you watch Rodon, you really have to ask yourself, what's the point here? Like, what is the goal? Okay. The goal seems to be, I'm going to miss a bat every time. Okay. I want to strike out 15. I don't really care how deep in the game I go. I'm at 99 pitches through 5 innings pitched. It's obviously a hard watch. It's difficult. It's laboring to get through these starts. and you'll accept it if hard contact doesn't occur in the 6th inning, right? Because I'll tell you right now, when there was 2 outs in the 6th, we were all pretty happy about how the start was going. And then all of a sudden, literally my mother texted me and was like, why was he in the game so long? And then I really thought about it and I said, he should have been in the game, because a guy that's getting paid this amount of money and he's pitching this well up until this point should be given the leash to continue in this game. You just have to not give up. I mean, literally, it was a full-on meatball served hot and fresh in the 6th inning. You have to expect that pitch is being served into the seats, and it's exactly what we deserve. So I'm not going to blame Aaron Boone at all, and we do not hesitate to put blame on our manager. It's just something we don't do on this channel. If he deserves it, we'll bring that up. But you have to remember, Jack Leiter Jr. is the first, Mark Leiter Jr. is the first guy coming out the bullpen. He's not exactly shut down. So do you want a guy you're paying $28 million a year to pitch? Or do you want Leiter Jr. to come out, or Ian Hamilton or a Tim Hill? Well, yeah, you can argue some of these other guys, but how often are we going to use this bullpen? So you got to trust some $30 million pitchers a year to get some outs. And yeah, you throw a meatball, you just say sayonara, I'll see you tomorrow. And then now it's time to see Cookie out there. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm not feeling confident about that start. That's been the biggest concern of our. Nobody should. But for us, we're going to hope for maybe not even a quality start, a start that keeps us in the game. And again, it's a lot of pressure on our offense, but it's essentially, it's our problem to deal with now.
Yeah. And I'll say this. I've always felt like, how good your rotation is when you can just have kind of the mental test, right? You go through the projected starters, doing it right now. Carrasco versus Lugo. I'm thinking that's an L based on the pitcher. Like, I just have a bad feeling about that matchup. Then I look at Schmidt and I'm like, I think they should win that game. I look at the way Warren just pitched. I feel good about that game. I look at Fried in there against Waka. I feel great about that game. I think Fried is excellent. So the Yankees are figuring things out. If Warren keeps this up, I think you got 3 out of the 5 figured out. Heel comes back. This is why I'm not out on the Yankees, and I'm not willing in the first 16 games of the season or whatever to say that they're done. But I mentioned those 4. And the thing that is very important for people to understand here is that whether it's fair or not, Will Warren could pitch excellent. But make no mistake, if the Yankees get a starting pitcher, like a lot of you want Alcantara, if they get a starting pitcher like Alcantara, Rodon is staying in the rotation, and that would be out for Will Warren. And that's just the reality of it. And this goes back to they pay him a lot of money. Well, we'll cross that bridge if we even cross it.
I hate that bridge.
I know.
I hate that idea.
I don't like it. But you already know. Come on. We just covered a full season. We know how this team works.
Yep.
But it is a real thing right now that I think it really comes down to Rodon when Heel comes back, because I think Heel's going to be fine. I think Heel is going to be absolutely fine. I have no worries about Heel when he comes back. My worry about Heel is, can he stay healthy once he comes back? If he does, I think he'll be fine. I see Yuendris Gomez should be starting in the comments section. That's where I'm at. Like, why put Carrasco? So Gomez was warming up today, right? He did not pitch today. Gomez would be my opener tomorrow. Carrasco doesn't have it. And now you have him going up against a Royals lineup that could absolutely turn this into a bloodbath in seconds. Tomorrow could be disgusting. This is a Kansas City team right now that's 8-8. They're not trying to, they're trying to get out of this.
Yeah, there's an angle there, right? With Gomez, you know what the angle is, okay?
Yeah.
If he gives you, let's just say he gives you 3 2/3, right? That's not a ton of length. But you now know, if it's decent at all, then we're in the game. Now we can go to the bullpen. And I understand we don't want to go to the bullpen. You don't want to overuse a bullpen, but there's no real such thing as overusing a bullpen if your rotation stinks in the meantime. Okay. That's just my thing.
Yeah.
Is it better to throw out bad starters and have the game ruined by the third inning? I don't think so. I think the worst thing you can do in this sport, and this is my personal opinion, is you go to Petco Park and want to watch the Padres. You want to go to Yankee Stadium and watch the Yankees. And the starting pitcher, whoever's slated to pitch the day you go to the stadium. And Jake, we know this better than anybody. We went to Yankee Stadium, right? Traveled to the Bronx. And long behold, Marcus Strowman found his way into the starting rotation that day, right? It was a late scratch from Nestor Cortez. And what happened, Jake? He got absolutely shelled. Okay. And one would say, we don't want to go to our bullpen in the second inning. But what happened? We went to the bullpen in the second inning. Why? Because would you rather have a pitcher just get blown up right away? No, I would rather have a pitcher go out there that I know is not going to give me length, but he's not going to give up a run an inning. Okay. That's my goal right now. We've got to scratch and claw for outs. And very clearly, guys we pay a lot of money can't go do that. So would I like to cover this in a positive way so we can all just kumbaya and feel good about ourselves? Yeah, I would. I would love if Carlos Rodon's last start was great, but this one was butt cheeks. I would love that. But the reality is I've watched 3 consistent outings that are consistently poor. They're bad all in the same way. So now I look up and I say, okay, well, who is this guy, right? Am I looking at a pitcher that I can see rebounding? And I look at a pitcher, so far his ERA, Jake, I mean, it's right in front of me. His ERA, okay, this is an old school number. I'm not sure if this weighs heavy on anybody's minds. It is 5.48, okay? 5.48 is his ERA. That'll go down, but to what degree? We're going to find out. His ERA 2 years ago was 6.85, okay?
Yep. And I keep thinking about that, by the way. I keep thinking about, well, what if it's one of those, oh yeah, he just pitches every other year. It's like, if he has one of those seasons, this is how important Rodon is to this team, whether you like it or not. If Rodon has the season he had when he first became a Yankee, the Yankees will not make the playoffs. Think about that.
Well, do you think he's going to rebound? Because that's your point. I agree with you.
I do.
He will.
But what is a rebound? Would you be fine? Because to me, I think it's very simple. You can easily see where this season's going to go. He had a great first start against Milwaukee.
That's correct.
He's had 3 bad starts in a row. And by bad, I mean, he looked good for the most part. And then it didn't matter because
he was terrible. It was against Arizona, Detroit, and then now San Francisco. So yeah, what would you consider good?
I mean, he had a sub-4 ERA last year. That's not happening. He's going to have a 4.15 to 4.45 ERA this year. And you're going to be happy about that. Considering what you already know. Considering what you already know with Rodon, like I would take that, to be honest with you. That would be him bouncing back.
See, this is a water. This should have been a tequila water. Our expectation of a pitcher, think about this, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this is just Jake's opinion. We didn't rehearse this. He has no idea what I'm going to say.
No idea.
This is a pitcher we pay almost $30 million a year. Does anybody in this room who's listening to this podcast, do you guys make $30 million a year to be wildly mediocre at your job? Anybody? Because I'll wait. I don't know who's in our chat room. It could be anybody. Somebody explain to me, in what world, in what field is it? In the medical field, entrepreneurship, where is it where you can be highly mediocre? Because Jake just gave out the number. This is exactly what he said. 415 to, do you say 445? 445. I want to make sure I had it exactly correct.
Mm-hmm.
Any pitcher in Major League Baseball with an ERA of 4.45 did not have a good season.
No.
I don't care what analytic there was. I have no clue how you can possibly demonstrate how this is acceptable. Because for me, I know for a fact, if I look at a pitcher who's just bad for the first half and then he kind of turns it on, right, in August, and then September, he's okay. And then maybe in like early October, he gives me like one good start in the wild card. I'm not going to look at this contract and be like, I saw what they were doing there. No. For me personally, that may be how our expectations have changed, right? Our expectations have now adapted to what this really is. I will never accept those new expectations. My expectations will be what he got when he got here. What were my expectations then? And I thought I was pretty realistic. My expectations were 350 to 375 ERA, right? Yeah. Nothing crazy. Not going to go win a Cy Young. I didn't think he was going to go win a Cy Young with the Yankees. That's not what I thought he was going to do. I thought he was going to be a pretty decent 2 in this league. That was my expectation. And then we have a solid offense that would essentially accommodate for his imperfections. $28 million a year. I expect sub 3 ERA. That's a perfectly fine opinion. If you want to spend that type of money, I think the comp in terms of dollar is a Blake Snell. What do you expect from a Blake Snell when he's got it going most often? Blake Snell, more times than not, gives a consistent outing. Okay. That's his financial comp in this league, whether we like it or not. So I think Brian Cashman made a huge misfire with this signing. I hate it. I hate every single thing about it. I don't like his demeanor. I don't like the way he pitches late in games. I don't like his command. And I don't like his resolve. I like the person. I think he's a nice guy. I think he's taking on the challenge fine. He's not backing down to this, but this is not working. It's just not. And I hope this changes. I hope somebody gets in his ear where we see some type of different result, because I'm rooting for this to work. But so far, Jake, this is just, it's deflating.
It is. The good news about Carlos Rodon is that it's not as bad as Marcus Strowman. That's the only good news I got. It's really not great.
How much are we paying between the two players, by the way?
So I was going to bring this up. It actually is worse than Strowman for a different. Strowman's done after this year. And I think everybody wants to DFA him, so they don't even care. Just like pay the money, let him go. Yankee fans are, and to be honest with you, that is one of those things, again, I mentioned you have to be smart to pitch in this league. That was such a dumb motion on his part. You just pitched an entire season in the Bronx. You know what the Yankee fans expect. The last thing, because there are a lot of old school Yankee fans that just want to see effort. Even if you're not good, they'll at least be like, well, he tried. He runs to first. He tries to work the counts. He's just not that good. It is what it is. I agree with you. You know what I'm talking about. There are guys like that where you're just like, yeah, he's not good, but like you could tell that guy just wanted to be a Yankee so badly.
God bless his heart. Right. Yeah. We've seen that happen before. Yeah. Go ahead. I agree with you 100%.
And the thing, you know what's funny about, because I don't want to get too much into it because he's not a guy that we even need to talk about. He's on the IL, and you know the hope is that we never see him pitch again in the Bronx. But I mean, really, like, why? No one wants to see him pitch. No one. Like the Yankee fans are done with him, and rightfully so.
Wants to see himself
because you know what's funny? I showed my dad the clip. I don't think everybody's seen the clip. I think people have just seen it, you know, resurfaced or of what he said. You know, I'm a starter. You know, that whole.
Oh, so, yeah. Yes.
They have seen in the newspaper. They have seen on apps. They have seen on Twitter the text. I'm a starter. I'm not going to pitch in the bullpen. I'm a starter. But when you watch the clip, you're like, wow, you're not only not a starter, you're an asshole. I mean, he comes off as such a dick to the reporter. Look, I understand New York media can be a lot, but the guy couldn't even finish his sentence. I'm a starter. Like, there you go. You saw the clip. That's what he does. He just keeps cutting him off. He's like, and then the guy's like, well, respectfully, you're the 6th starter. So, you know, how do you, I'm a starter. I'm not pitching in the bullpen. I'm a starter. It's like the reporter did nothing wrong. He was just trying to get it. Like, he's like, well, right now you're 6th. You're the odd man out because they're not carrying a 6-man rotation for Marcus Strowman. So, you know what I'm saying?
And then we avoided the whole thing because there were a couple injuries, and then some reporters were like, oh, look, it bounced this way, so now they need him. No, we don't. No, actually, we don't. Regardless of injury, you don't. Just because guys got hurt, they were actually decent options, right? Like Heel, really good option. Schmidt, really good option. Garrett Cole, great option, out for the year. Just because all of that transpired, doesn't mean you just turn around and say, hey, who's bad at their job? Well, we've got to use you, and you make $18.5 million. That's not a solution. They acted like that fell into our lap.
I know.
No, what it means is organizationally, you need more.
Oh, I hate the way you're absolutely right. They made it like, oh, problem solved. It's like,
see how that resolved itself? I'm like, did it?
No.
Did it actually resolve itself?
We're not like, oh, Garrett Cole's down. Now we can put Marcus Strowman in the rotation. Like no one ever would say that.
We were going to trade him in January. But then all these teams said no because he stinks. And then now all these pitchers got hurt. Aren't you glad? Isn't that the way the baseball gods work? I'm like, is it how they work? I don't understand.
Slim Lewis, thank you for the 5. What I meant about Jazz is that he's trying to hit home runs all the time instead of putting together great at bats. Looks like a 190 batting average, 31 home run guy with low on base. I agree with that. He is, and that is, it goes back to the Ben Rice effect, man. He hits 3 home runs, and I'm telling you, I watched the approach. He just melted down as a player. Like he was not the same player. Everything that he followed, everything that he did to get to the show, he threw out the window. Because he's like, I just hit 3 home runs. And now, like, in order for me to be in the lineup, because they keep trying to put other guys in the lineup ahead of me, like cough, DJ LeMahieu, I have to press here. I know we only need a single, but you could see. I mean, he was trying to swing for the fences. And Jazz, the thing that's inexcusable is Jazz doesn't have to do that. His second base job is so on lock, it's insane. Like, all you're doing right now is making it so the Yankees might not sign you long term, because I think it's almost in the bag that he's brought back. They love him. But if he doesn't, if this is who he is and he's just going to press, I mean, this is exactly what is holding him back from stardom. What is going to make Jazz the player that Jazz can be is the earlier season at bats. Those home runs weren't just swinging for the fences. He created those. And what I mean by that is when you get down 0-2 and then you start working the count and now it's 3-2, guess what? He's going to have to throw in the strike zone now. Aaron Judge is already on base. And like, you can't walk another batter. So he's going to have to throw that ball in the strike zone. And if it's a mistake pitch or not, Jazz now knows this is going to be a ball to hit. He created that opportunity. He's not creating opportunities. He's trying to swing at strike 1, strike 2, ball 3, or ball 1, and it's strike 3. That's what he's been doing. He's been going away from that approach. Jason Dominguez does this well. Ben Rice has started to do this well. It's something that we've seen with the younger players that they're actually really starting to, build upon that. But Jazz, a veteran, is really not allowing, like, pitchers are like, oh, awesome, Jazz is up, so now my pitch count is only going to move up by 3 or 4 pitches.
Has anyone played any video game where it doesn't matter? If you're playing PlayStation and you can use the square button to power swing, Jazz Chisum is hitting the square button on 0-2.
Every time, which you never do.
No, you don't ever touch the square button. Okay. It doesn't work. It doesn't help. But I think his stats actually just tell the perfect story. And I think this also is part of the reason why a lot of times old school fans of this game, of this sport, doesn't matter if you're a Yankees fan, they like to have players who can do it all, right?
Yeah.
They can slap a single. This is the value in a Juan Soto. They can just slap a ball to left field. They may hit 41 homers, but that's only 41 hits on the season. They had 180 hits, 190 hits with over 100 walks. What did those other hits look like? It was a slap single the other way, right? And it changes the way pitchers can pitch to you, right? It changes what pitches you're swinging at. Jazz Chisum is just way too talented to play this way. Not in terms of hitting home runs or not, but the way he's choosing to go about this game. If he was playing it the way that we know he should be playing it, a 2 for 26 shouldn't even be possible. Okay. And then you break your slump with a homer. That's like the opposite of what I wanted to see. I know homers are technically the best thing you could do in this sport, but if we were being honest, like 8 at bats ago, weren't we all just saying the same thing? He's just trying to take lift off here. His chain's almost flying off on every swing. Maybe you should try to cut this down and get on base, create some action, use your legs. Obviously, you can run like the wind. Maybe you should bring that into the game. And then the first thing he does, he gets a pitch to his chest and pulls it to right field. It wasn't what we wanted, right? I was happy to get the result in the meantime, but Jazz Chisum in general, my conclusion here, I totally agree with the super. It's just too boom or bust right now. Given his skill set, there's no reason to play it off this way.
You could almost do that if you had the rotation, but like the offense is the lifeblood of this team, and they just need. That's why today bothers me so much, because they had that really nice piece of hitting. They had situational hitting. They had, trying to get guys on base any way possible. I mean, you look at. I almost called him Narvaez. It's still kind of funny that he's not a Yankee. I mean, I thought for sure he'd be on this roster, but JC Escara, right? Escara had a huge double. It scored Dominguez to make it 2-0 in the second. Then you have Ben Rice, situational hitting. Do you think he wanted to hit a home run? Sure, but he singles to left, right? Just serves it into left field, and he scores Escara, right? And Goldschmidt. You think he wants to hit it to the stratosphere? Sure. But he just needs to get the job done, serves into right field, and Judge scores. And this is essentially what we're talking about with the situational hitting. Doesn't have to be special. Doesn't have to be, anything crazy. Like, just because it's not sexy doesn't mean it doesn't help you. I mean, to be honest with you, I love when you start watching Yankee batters smacking opposite field singles and scoring runs and doubling into the gap.
There was a little glimmer. There was a little glimmer of it. And to be fair, we were hitting a lot of homers. I think that has to be acknowledged, is that just because you hit home runs, we don't have to treat it like it's the damn devil. It's not. But when it's the only plan of attack, you're not going to be able to hit homers the whole season. The only way that you can create damage is by driving the ball out of the ballpark and then just hope, we play at Yankee Stadium and then our pitching will be better than theirs. So it'll be a bigger advantage for us. And we play 82 of these, 81 games at home. Okay, well, that's not how you're going to play. I saw it in the chat, like Volpe's 2 boomer busts. Volpe should never be hitting 226. Okay. Sometimes you can look at certain players' body styles and say, okay, what type of attack is this guy going to have? He should be a contact guy. He should be able to steal you 25 bags. If you can say that about any given player on the roster and they're hitting 205, you've got to at some point question their approach. I think that's completely fair. And then last year, just to kind of prove that we're not being hypocritical here about batting average, we watched Austin Wells have a poor batting average the whole season. And yet we still said, and Jake, you brought it up first, you said, no, I really like these at-bats. And I agreed with you because we see the velocity off the barrel. We watch the games.
Yeah.
Now we can say we like your approach. No one was complaining last year about Austin Wells' approach until August when it actually was bad. Okay. But when the contact was hard, consistently on a line, we're going to notice that. And when you watch these games, not everybody watches, but if you watch like a Volpe or you watch a Cabrera, you watch some of these guys like Jazz Chisum, they're hitting square on the controller and hoping that they go middle and they take liftoff into the upper deck. It sometimes works and sometimes can bail you out of a bad situation. But given what our rotation's doing and the position they're putting us in, perhaps that's also having a negative effect on the approach of these guys right now.
Wanted to point out, just because I get so tired of the double standard, how no one ever talks about when it happens against the Yankees, but they always are like, oh, that was only a home run in one ballpark, Yankee Stadium. Yeah, that Aaron Judge double? Yeah, that was a home run in 19 out of the 30 ballparks. So 20 actually, or no, it would be 19. Yep. 19.
Still a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. So, frustrating day at the office. Now I'll frustrate you while you try to figure out the movie, Gary.
Before let me go ahead and type that away. Yep, go ahead.
All right, ready to be frustrated, guys? Carlos Rodon, after this year, still has 3 more years of being paid $27 million.
It still feels like it's almost over, though, so I'm not too upset. Like 3 years it feels like a dream that never ends. Trust me, I want it to end today, but someone was asking if he have a no trade. I don't think he does.
He does. Full no trade.
No, he doesn't.
I swear to God.
Podcast over. Are you joking? We did not give him a no trade.
I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious. Well, here's why. Okay. And I don't agree with it, but this is what happens when you agree to terms on a deal nowadays. It's like, that's like a mandatory thing. Have you noticed that? It's now mandatory. Everybody that the Yankees have signed in free agency has a no trade clause. Everybody. Full no trade clause. Not just like, yeah, like, you know, you can't be traded to the, no, like full. Like he decides whether to waive it or not. So, yeah.
I'm just going to run the rest of this podcast and just be a mute. What are we doing? We think about that. We were so comfortable with this signing. We were like, oh, yeah, if we ever need to deal you, we'll make sure you're happy with where you're going. And if you're happy with it, then you can sign off on that. The Yankees didn't think at any point that could just blow up right in their face. That's crazy to me. Obviously, you don't always get to have the terms you want, especially in baseball contracts. Like, you think the Blue Jays wanted to give $500 million to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Vladdy Jr. is a great player, but he's not that good. Okay. So sometimes you got to bend the knee a little bit to get the guy you really want, but that's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He's still a great player. I would describe him as a great player in the sport. Carlos Rodon is not a great player. Okay. And he wasn't a great player when we signed him. He was just pretty good. Really, you could say, oh, he's really good if things really work out.
He had two borderline elite seasons, but then he had a bunch of slop where it was like, eh. And that's a problem, you know? I mean, he is the third highest paid player on the payroll right now.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's ahead of Stanton. And Cole, but they got $28 million in the insurance money. So
he's really like fourth.
But I mean, yeah, that's what we're talking about. Judge, Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, Cody Bellinger, Marcus Strowman, 5 highest paid guys that are currently on the roster and not on IL. Marcus Strowman is the 5th most paid on the Yankees. Not kidding you.
Well, so you said after this season, we have 3 more seasons of this player. And yeah, I mean, I did see in the chat, people are asking about Kyle Tucker and you know, all that's great. But you guys have to remember, regardless of who you bring in free agency, the guys you have in the building you've got to, if you're paying almost $30 million, they've got to give you some type of positive momentum so that your pickup in the offseason can push you over the top. But right now we're sort of regressing. And then you bring in a signing. It's almost like you're trying to maintain a 91, 92 win team. That's hard to get excited about right now. I think the Yankees in-house have got to get this motion going the opposite direction so that Kyle Tucker potential, we have no idea if he wants to play for the Yankees or if the Yankees are going to put up the money. We don't know. But I'll tell you what, Jake, if these guys in the building aren't exciting, I mean, come on.
I can't tell if Steven's being serious or not because I don't know.
Sarcasm. There's no way.
If he gets his 140 innings, he is still on the roster in 2026. You know that, right? Gary, you knew that?
If he what?
If he pitches 140 innings in 2025, he is a vested player option in 2026.
I already told you, dude, Marcus Strowman could literally, if fatigue was off, you ever play video games where you can turn that switch, fatigue off? He could pitch 5 days a week. He would not give us 140 innings. 0 chance.
But that is a horror movie if he does pitch 140 innings.
Dude, they won't even let him. I guarantee you, if he was pitching well, they still would not let him pitch. I guarantee you. No way.
that would make me very mad. Jeff J, I asked if Blake can't fix him, send him away. So many other pitchers we could have signed instead of this BS from a mediocre 2-pitch pitcher. Yeah, it is weird. The Yankees do like to have guys that throw like 89 miles an hour topped out. I don't know why. It's like this obsession.
I thought we really won, though, when we didn't get Patrick Corbin, and now it feels like we just got like a, you know how
it's like already evened out.
Patrick Corbin is like this Honda Civic. You know how you see a Honda Civic that's like old and beat up and raggedy on the road, but it doesn't have a spoiler on it. And then all of a sudden you're like in LA and they slap a spoiler on it and it's just like, that's what Carlos Rodon seems like to me. He just seems like a souped up Honda Civic just racing his way down the road. And it's like, yeah,
I love people pour money into Honda Civics, man.
They sure do they pour a ton of money into their Civic. They lower it. They do all types of garbage to it. And you know what? They like it, but we laugh at it. And that's what it feels like right now. We're sort of looking at this hyped up Civic in our rotation. It is what it is. And
my best friend right now will be listening to this at work on the pre-recorded.
Yeah.
And when he hears you say souped up Honda Civic, he's been talking about this like specific thing for years.
This
he's
phenomenon.
Like, nothing I can't stand more than I'm just on the road and there's always some guy that cuts me off in a souped up Honda Civic. That like his words exactly. So yeah, he's gonna love that you just threw that out there.
Yeah, I mean, and the crazy thing about it is you can hope all you want, and I said it earlier today, and you hope that this changes, but the data suggests, yeah, Rodon is a Kia.
So Blake Griffin jumps over him.
Yeah, it's just one of those situations where the Yankees, if you really take a hard look at their rotation, all of the answers pretty much are sitting on the IL, and we're just waiting around. And you just have to ask the question, how much can this offense pull the rope? And there are a lot of guys struggling right now offensively. Can they pull the rope long enough for these guys to return so that we can have quality starts again? And then we can start to judge this team. If you guys don't think this team can go win a pennant, maybe get out of the division series, maybe even they lose in a wild card. If that's your prediction, miss a playoff, all that's fine by me. But we've got to survive while some of these stinkers, and yes, that includes some of the high price stinkers, while they're out there pitching. And if it changes, spectacular. But these last three starts, terrible. Strowman, they said he has a knee injury. He wasn't pitching good before that, so I don't know what it's going to look like after an injury. He's not getting to 140 innings. That should be gone. You don't worry about it. So, yeah, at this point, we need to start looking at who is, and I think who is a solution. Maybe you're going to have to get creative. Maybe Cruz can come out of the bullpen, use him as an opener. Who knows? You have no idea who they potentially could use. So it'll be interesting to see what Boone does.
Yeah, I think what I would do is just absolutely take Carrasco off the 26. Just no doubt about it. Yarbrough and
you weren't feeling Cookie?
Gomez. No. Yarbrough and Gomez, I would say kind of having them split open and just play off each other. So like you'd have Gomez start a game or you'd have, opening game, whatever. Then you'd have Yarbrough. And then whoever didn't start that day, they would take over as the next guy in line. I think that nets you 6 innings right there. I do. So now, you got 3 innings left and you got your bullpen. That's what I would do. I mean, I'm not saying it would 100% work every time, but it'd be better than trotting out 37-year-old Carlos Carrasco. And bless his soul, this guy has a great story. He's a cancer survivor, right?
Sure does.
Like, I'm not trying to hate on the guy. I just want to watch Yankees baseball when they win. Like, I want to watch them win games, and I just don't think it's conducive to winning baseball to throw out Carlos Carrasco, who over the last 3 years, I think his ERA is over 5. So, like, you know what I mean? I don't know why they were like, that guy, that is who we need. That right there, that is the missing piece. I don't know. But
yeah, this isn't an ESPN's 30 for 30, like where it's supposed to be some special story. This is just about wins and losses, input, output. You put someone on the field, they give you an output. And then when they give us a positive output, everybody in our chat's happy. We're happy. Everyone's happy. So
yeah,
it is that's just the situation. And you can hope all you want, but I did find my movie.
What's the movie?
So that movie is going to be $1 Billion Heist.
Never seen it.
Yeah.
But yeah. I like the I like the
premise of it. Is it's a heist going on right now. That's the way it feels. Okay. And again, just to remind you guys, don't drop $1 billion heist in the comment section now because we're live. But if you're seeing this video and we're not live, or as soon as we're not live, you can hop back in the video, drop $1 billion heist. We'll know you were here. And we'd really appreciate it. It helps the algorithm. And make sure you guys subscribe and like this video.
Yes, hit that thumbs up button. I see 41 likes, 180 people in here currently on YouTube, and over 1,000 total. If you're on Twitter, check us out, youtube.com/@Yankees Unloaded. We'll be back tomorrow, and hopefully we're talking about a Yankees win, although I don't really know exactly how that's going to go about, but hopefully that is the case.
Yeah, like the video.